right, well, it is 1 o'clock on my calendar, and it is a Friday afternoon, so I'm sure everybody appreciative of us doing our important business and then moving on for the rest of our Friday. This is Betsy Tilson. I'm have the honor of serving as the State Health Director and Chief Medical Officer for DHHS, and Director Sprayberry and I have the honor of co-chairing this task force, and I will be your MC for the next hour. But we'll talk for a little bit, but really we'll be excited to hear from a lot of our partners as we move forward in this pandemic together. But before I start, a couple things is, again, everybody is unmuted from the controls, so that if you could mute yourself on your individual phone to decrease the background noise, that would be great. And also just a reminder that this is a public meeting and we're live streaming. And so just to be, again, aware that this is our fully public meeting. So with that, I want to, we have some of our leadership. We'll make sure that we have opportunity for them to have introduction, opening comments. And so, Governor Cooper, have you been able to join us yet?
I have, Dr. Tilson.
Wonderful. Please. So let me turn the floor over to you to open us up.
I'm not really participating in this thing, just kind of listening.
So,
General Hunt, we need you to mute your phone, my love.
I'm muted, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. Dr. Tilson, thank you to you and Director Sprayberry for convening this COVID-19 task force meeting. And I want to thank everybody for the hard work, your work in your work groups. We've got hospitals, businesses, public schools, long-term care, higher ed, health partners, law enforcement, National Guard, agriculture, food supply, and all of you are working together to get us through this and make sure we're better off on the other side. I want to thank you, give you a particular thank you to the local health departments for your daily efforts to respond to this crisis, and to the hospitals and the other frontline healthcare providers treating patients and taking risk. I'm grateful for you. Our law enforcement partners help keep our community safe, and it's a very difficult time to be a law enforcement officer, and appreciate you on the front line helping to keep us safe from violence and from this virus. It's been a hard battle for a number of months, but this week we shared that our trends that Dr. Cohen goes over with the public at least once a week, they are starting to stabilize. We began to see this improvement a couple of weeks following the mandatory mask mandate, and I think it's evidence that our go slow approach and making sure that we're emphasizing prevention is making a real difference. And I think more and more people are beginning to fully embrace the 3 W's. It hasn't been easy, and there's been some resistance to it from some people, but I think more and more people are beginning to understand that the science is clear on this, and now it's time to double down and capitalize on the progress. And from this task force, we really need your ongoing partnership to continue to move forward in the right direction, as this is a all hands on deck effort. We need engagement not only from our leaders in healthcare and government, but also in business and education across the board. And this in this session today, we're going to focus on slowing the spread through prevention. And we continue to pour time and resources into efforts to support those affected by the virus, and making sure that they have a hospital bed and an ICU bed if they need it, and a ventilator. But the best tools we have are those that prevent this virus from spreading and that slow the spread. So my ask of you today is to think of what more you can do in your individual roles and as leaders of key organizations across our state to help slow the spread and to emphasize prevention and to be role models as we work to slow the spread. We continue to need your contribution to this effort to slow the spread and are very grateful for you being here today. So thanks very much, Dr. Tilson, for letting me say a word of encouragement to everybody. And thanks everybody again.
Thank you, Governor Cooper, and thank you for your steadfast leadership throughout this whole pandemic, which we're still not out of. Your leadership has truly been inspiring, and so we thank you for that today and for every day. I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Cohen now for some opening comments, please.
Great. I'll just be very brief and just say thank you. There's been a ton of ongoing work. I know that we don't bring this full task force together that often. It's because we are really working with you all on a daily basis, often in constant conversations. And so I think that the collaboration, the transparency, the communication, the teamwork that I've seen across North Carolina has been really inspiring to me. And I think one of the reasons that we continue to see North Carolina be successful here in that we did not see a big first wave and we have not seen a big second wave as we see the rest of the South and the Southeast in particular struggling with a lot of really high viral rates of transmission. I think you should all be commended of the work that has been going on in North Carolina. But as the governor said, it is not time to ease off the gas. If anything, we know we have more work to do, and that's why we're going to focus on prevention today. So thank you, Dr. Tilson, and Director Sprayberry for leading us through, and Governor, as always, for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you also for your steadfast leadership as well. The team really appreciates you, as the state does. Secretary Hooks.
Thank you, Dr. Tilson. Thank you and Mike Sprayberry, particularly for your leadership with the task force. And I am incredibly blessed to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, working hand in hand with our esteemed Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services as we navigate this pandemic under the leadership of Governor Cooper. I'm very proud of the team that we have here in North Carolina as we faced a number of disasters through the years, whether they've been natural disasters from weather, man-made disasters, and now this extraordinary pandemic. And so I am thankful that we are well practiced, we are well coordinated, and I think we see that in the results. But again, as the governor indicated, we don't take any of these efforts for granted. And we know that whereas we work mightily as state entities, and I'm very thankful for the divisions within the Department of Public Safety and two of the flagships that have been at the forefront of this, Emergency Management and National Guard. But I certainly recognize that none of the work that we do is possible without the collaboration at the local level. Many of you serve on the CERT, and so I'm continually grateful for that input and that wisdom that you bring to the state to keep over 10.4 million people safe. And so for all of the partnerships that have developed for this, I'm extremely proud, and we will move forward in our all hazards approach to face any challenge that North Carolina has before us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to dive in a little bit and just do somewhat of an update of our numbers, of some of our activities, of some of our where we're leaning in, and then I will turn over Director Sprayberry to talk a little from emergency management, how it's facilitating a lot of those activities, and then we'll turn it over to our partners to chime in. So the first thing is I just want us to, as Secretary Cohen said, it's been a while since this big group has convened. We've been doing a lot of work with our individual work groups, but it's been a bit for this group to convene. So I think it's always good to take a step back and see where we are in the course of this pandemic, how the progress has been, and kind of a big picture of the course of that, and then thinking through what that means as we go forward. And so if you'll remember, at the very first task force meeting that we had, long time ago now, we were looking at that pandemic curve, that epidemic curve, and we were talking a lot about the phases as we went through a pandemic. And with those initial phases, when we don't have a lot of cases, there's very intense what we call case-based mitigation, so that we're really doing that rapid identification, the containment, the isolation, the quarantine, that's a really important piece in the front end of a pandemic. And then we talked a lot about the strategies that we could do to flatten that curve, so we didn't have that huge spike, so that we flooded and overwhelmed our healthcare capacity. And so then, if you'll remember, and from the very beginning of the pandemic, we were doing a lot of work around identifying people, and then we were very aggressively doing our community mitigation strategies. We had to stay at home. We really were being very aggressive in taking early actions to flatten that curve. And that was successful, and that was the kind of second phase. Then what we were, as we went through the pandemic and looking at our data, we were really finding a lot of our hotspots. We're looking at our outbreaks, our very high-risk setting. And if you remember, there was a lot of emphasis at the beginning of our approach in really looking at long-term care, looking at skilled nursing facilities. We were having a large proportion of our cases and our deaths coming from those high-risk settings, and so we were doing a lot of work in those settings. We are still doing a lot of work in those settings. That is still an incredibly important piece of our response, and Adam Scholler will be talking about that. So we still have not taken away from that priority. But what we are seeing as we're looking at the data is we've had some success in those high-risk settings, and we've had success in decreasing some of our outbreaks. But as we're watching our data now, that what we are finding is we are having more and more widespread community transmission. So community transmission that we can't identify the actual setting, we can't identify the actual outbreak, and we're seeing it widely throughout our communities. We're seeing it in younger people now and throughout the communities. And so that means that we need to think through how do we adjust our strategies and our focuses. And so we've looked at a lot of our data and looking at our community transmission. We've also been looking at seeing where people are being exposed in their occupational settings and looking at some of our trends in our high density occupations, thinking through meat processing, looking through construction, manufacturing, our kind of some of our high priority business settings, and thinking through how then do we adjust our response as the data is adjusting, and then how do we think through how do we give the tools so that our testing and tracing can be more effective if on the front end we do more of this prevention, as Governor Cooper was saying. And so we've been watching that and adjusting our responses, and we're also organizing our work into these four main pillars, the pillars of prevention, then testing, tracing, and isolation and quarantine support. And so that's how we've been organizing our work. I'm going to talk a little bit of some of our activities within the latter three, but then we'll come back to the conversation about really doubling down on prevention, because at this stage of our pandemic, when we have the widespread community transmission, that's where we're really going to, I think, have the effect, and where I think some of our numbers are showing. So before I do that, though, just a little bit of an update of our numbers, as alluded to, and as has been, Governor Cooper talked a little bit. We were seeing a surge in our cases and a surge in our numbers for most of June and July as we had eased restrictions. But most recently, we're maybe starting to see some stabilization in our numbers, which is good news. The number of our new cases daily are starting to stabilize. When we're looking at our percent positive, it is still higher than we want it to be. We would like it to be below 5%, but we're starting to see it come down a little bit. We were averaging around 9 to 10%. Now we're averaging about 7 to 8%. And so that's good. And that metric kind of helps us adjust for are the confirmed cases just a reflection of the amount of testing that we're doing, and that helps us to adjust from that. And so that's good that number is coming down. The other thing that we look at is as part of our statewide surveillance, we look at the number of people who are coming to the emergency department for COVID-like illnesses. This is a kind of a good early indicator of people seeking health care. And we had been seeing that rise up until this past week, where now we're starting to see a decrease across most of the state in that indicator. And that's really good, because that is an early indicator. And then the other metric we look at is our hospitalizations. Our hospitalizations still are trending up slightly. In fact, yesterday was our highest hospitalization day. The good news is we still have plenty of hospital capacity, and we're in daily conversations with our hospitals. And we haven't had a huge surge like we have seen in other states. We're eking up, but we're relatively stable, and we still have capacity there. We're watching it very closely. But our hospitalizations, unlike our surveillance data, which is an early indicator, our hospital data is what we call a lagging indicator. And typically what we see in the hospitals today is reflective of what was really going on in the community or with that person a couple of weeks ago, because they would needed to be exposed, and then they had the incubation phase, and then get sick enough for a hospital. So we see that as a lagging indicator. So we're hoping in the next week or two we may well then see our hospitalizations reflecting what we're seeing in our other trends. So we're not out of the woods, and we would like to see all those numbers going down. But this is the first time that we have seen in a while that we are maybe starting to see stabilization. And I think some of that has been our lean into prevention, and really what we're doing with prevention. So we'll get back to that, and where we're really going to focus most of the conversation today. Just a little bit of an update of our other pillars, though, our testing and our tracing and our isolation and quarantine support. We have been doing a lot of work in trying to expand our testing capacity. We're testing now more than 30,000 tests a day. We're working hard on trying to expand that even more. We have been running into what nationally and other states have been experiencing is long turnaround time and supply chains again, but we are working in putting into place as many of those mitigating strategies to not only increase tests, but also decrease the turnaround time for our tests. We're also thinking about how do we prioritize where those tests are. We've been doing a lot of aggressive work in testing in our skilled nursing facilities, our long-term care facilities. We said that's still a priority for us. We've been doing a lot of aggressive testing in there, and Adam Scholler can share some of that. We're also doing a lot of very targeted and strategic testing out in our communities. What we are, as part of the data of this pandemic, we are finding a disproportionate impact on our communities of color as part of this pandemic in our African American population and our Latinx population. And so we've been doing a lot of work in intentionally ensuring our community testing is accessible and is targeting our historically marginalized population. And so we have been doing a lot of those tests, 181 testing sites in the past couple of weeks, more than 8,000 tests in those testing sites. So that's been a really important focus for us in following the data. In terms of tracing, we have been doing a lot of work in not only helping to cross-train our local health department staff to expand their capacity within the local health departments. This is a core function of them, but also hiring up through our initiative to have more of our workforce and more of our contact tracers connect into and help support our local health departments. We've been hired more than 600 contact tracers, and with a very, very intentional focus on ensuring our contact tracers are also culturally competent and culturally in line with our higher risk populations. And so more than 50% of our contact tracers are bilingual, as we're seeing a rise of our numbers in our Latinx community. So we're really excited about that. And then the point of testing and the point of tracing is also so that it can inform what we call control measures, so making sure that people can actually isolate and quarantine successfully. And so we've been doing a lot of work on that because it is very hard for a lot of our people who are dependent upon going to work every day in order to get paid, for them to stay home. It's really it's been very hard for them to actually be able to successfully isolate and quarantine. So we're really working hard on thinking through what are the extra social services and resource supports we can wrap around people so they can successfully isolate. So we're doing a lot of work in those three pillars. But we're also doing a lot of work in prevention. So just to highlight some of those key pieces, and then I'll stop talking and turn it over to Director Sprayberry. But there's a lot of different ways that we're thinking through about prevention. One is our prevention that we can do through our executive orders. And so thinking through our face covering mandate, which we think has been very helpful in slowing some of the spread. Thinking through, pausing at our safer at home and being very cautious about reopening settings that are higher risk. And then most recently, having the alcohol ban after 11, where our restaurants turn more and less into a bar. And we know that bars are very, very high risk settings. So there's been some great prevention work that we have done through the executive orders. We've also doing a lot of work, which you'll hear more about, of changing people's hearts and minds and behavioral change, and really embracing and being able to act on the 3 Ws. Tracy Zimmerman will talk more about some of our communication strategies. That's really important for people to really buy in and have that behavioral change. We're thinking through what are the tools people can have to actually operationalize our prevention messages, and so we have drafted tons of guidances for a variety of settings, including some of our high-risk occupational settings, so thinking meat, our meat processing, our migrant farm workers. We're just finalizing construction and manufacturing, and then pushing out masks and pushing out PPE, making sure people have that. And there's been a lot of work on pushing that out, which I'll let Director Sprayberry speak to. And then we also have to think about enforcement. We can put things into laws, we can encourage, we can educate, but then there is an element of enforcement as well. And so we have some of our law enforcement partners to help us think through how do we think through our enforcement strategies to help augment those prevention messages. So that's where a big picture of where we are in this course of the pandemic, how we've been shifting some of our initiatives, how we're thinking through bucketing that work, and really I think over the next month or two, leaning in on prevention is where we need to be. So that's the reason for the focus on this meeting. And so I'm going to stop there and then turn it over to Director Sprayberry to add some words, and then again also some of the work that emergency management has been really incredible help in getting some of these tools and resources out to our communities.
Thank you, Dr. Tilson. And as she has stated, prevention and community mitigation strategies are a major focus and critical to the containment of the spread of this pandemic. This is going to require continued focus and prioritization from the entire team. A major part of these strategies is personal protective equipment. Since our last task force meeting, we want to advise you of a number of developments on this front. We have leased an additional warehouse in Mocksville, North Carolina, to begin to consolidate the PPE operations for receiving and distribution. It's a big warehouse, and we have a lot of PPE. We're continuing to aggressively procure PPE in partnership with DHHS to maintain an adequate stockpile level for any increase or medical surge scenario, as well as procure and distribute PPE to historically marginalized populations, which is critically important. We're also making big PPE pushes to schools, school nurses, migrant workers, administrative office of the courts, and we just do daily PPE resource requests. We fill those requests daily to our county partners as well as our healthcare preparedness coalitions. So a lot of work, a lot of activity. Special tip of the hat to the DHHS Office of Emergency Medical Services. They're really rocking and rolling on this. We're also making sure that we have enough PPE for emergency responders and shelter staff as part of the hurricane preparations and possible response. So I want to recognize the Department of Public Safety, too, for the support that they've been giving us here. They've been able to support us with everything from legal to fiscal support as we roll out and implement a non-congregate sheltering program. The prisons have been working hard to make sure that 100% of all of their offenders get tested. ALE and ABC have been working to help enforce, and like I say, just been doing a great job. Special recognition goes to the patrol and also the North Carolina National Guard for the incredible work that the Guard has been doing in supporting the receipt and distribution of PPE, as well as supporting the distribution of food and supporting the food supply chain with the food banks and the school nutrition programs. Major General Hunt, would you like to add anything there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Director. And like as was mentioned earlier, the National Guard is part of DPS. We have a tremendous relationship with our state partners, and we cherish that support and partnership. The National Guard has been completing this effort from the very beginning of COVID-19. And as the Director said, as the guardians of the state, we've been doing multiple areas of support. Those have been food supply, food distribution, PPE distribution, and commodity distribution, along with testing. So I'd like to mention just a few highlights, if I could, of the support the Guard has been doing as of today. We have distributed over 5.6 million food bank meals, 332,000 school lunches, 6.5 million pounds of cargo, and we've tested almost 17,000 North Carolina citizens. We're working with the correctional system during testing as well. So as always, Director, the Guard is postured to support the great state and the citizens of North Carolina, and we will continue to support as we move forward with COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for the time, Director.
Thank you, Major General Hunt, and thank you for your service and leadership. Finally, we're actively engaged in hurricane preparedness for potential impacts to Hurricane Isaias. We are decisively engaged with the state emergency response team to stand up sheltering support, stage commodities, and deploy necessary emergency response teams such as swift water rescue and regular search and rescue. So that completes my report, Dr. Tilson. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Director Sprayberry. Okay, so now we'll turn it over to several of our state partners, as well as our task force and private partners. And so I'm going to first turn it over to Tracy Zimmerman, who heads a lot of our external communications and partnerships, to talk a little bit about our public campaign and communication, especially around our 3 Ws. So Tracy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. As you heard at the outset, we have a focus on prevention. It's one of our currently best means to slow the spread of COVID-19. And at the same time, it's also requiring real behavior change for people. We're asking people to wear a face covering and stand apart from others. And behavior change is hard. Keeping our distance from other people goes against human nature, and wearing a face covering has its own barriers to overcome. Hopefully the 3rd W, washing hands, people were already doing, but I'm sure, like me, you've also heard lots of people didn't know that they were not doing it correctly, and now they do. So public education is really important. All significant and successful behavior change efforts include a robust public campaign. Many also, frankly, take years to make an impact, and we have to do this immediately. So since early on in the pandemic, we have worked with our academic partners to help us research some of these barriers and motivations to the behaviors we're asking people to take on. They've been running focus groups and surveys to help guide us in effective messaging. And certainly, if you've watched any of our press briefings, you are very familiar with our core prevention message. You've heard the Governor and Secretary Cohen say repeatedly to practice the 3 Ws, wear, wait, and wash. And the goal really behind that is that these are simple, actionable, and memorable. And this is the approach we will continue to take with our public outreach and our campaign. We have developed a wide range of materials that are accessible on our website. If you go to covid19.ncdhhs.gov and you click on resources and materials, we have a whole toolkit that includes everything from flyers and posters and social media images, infographics, and both radio and video public service announcements. Everything is available in English and Spanish, and a huge thank you to those who are already using these materials. It's been really exciting to see many organizations and businesses really making the 3 Ws their own. We've had towns who are making banners for their outside spaces, universities using them in their student outreach, local news stations recording their own PSAs, and businesses making their own signs. So we strongly encourage you to take those assets and use them. If anyone would like them in their original form so that they can brand them as their within their own brand, we're happy to do that as well. The more and varied voices saying the same thing, I think will be very critical to our success in some of this behavior change work. We are continuing to use research to inform the next phase of our campaign. We know we have to define the reward for taking these actions as being greater than the obstacles. And we also know that that may be defined very differently for different populations. And we have to avoid fatigue. We don't have an end in sight at the moment, and we're asking people to, again, change behavior and do that consistently. So we will really, again, focus the majority of our outreach and what we hope you'll help amplify, continue to focus on prevention. We will predominantly use more of our testing and tracing messages in our public efforts as we surge in some of our harder hit counties and communities. So as we move forward, we are developing the next phase of our statewide message. We'll work with statewide media partners, really with an overemphasis with our Latinx and African American and Black media outlets, because we know that those communities are being disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. And I'll also note that we have ongoing engagement plans with our historically marginalized populations that go well beyond just our campaign assets. So we hope to use a variety of tools as we amp up our next phase around the 3 Ws, particularly around wearing a cloth mask across the state. We'll have new public service announcements, billboards, and a range of collateral material. And we also want the ability, again, to surge assets in counties that are being particularly hard hit. We're already supporting counties by deploying testing sites, helping them work with trusted partners, providing more contact tracers, and a range of intensive assistance. And we're currently surging social media, but we need the ability to surge our campaign assets in those markets as well as we see as needed. So I know, again, you've heard the governor and the secretary say often that slowing the spread of this virus will take all of us doing our part. And so I'm hoping that all of you can help us by amplifying the wear, wait, wash message in our forthcoming campaign through your own paid media placements, distributing messages through your own organic content, whether that's newsletters or posts or other things that you all already do, and we're happy to share those as well. If you are a media outlet using airtime to share the PSAs that we have, and our assets are available to you. So you can think about purchasing airtime for the PSAs to help get the message out. So there's lots of ways to support amplifying, using your voice as leaders. The more voices we have, branded, frankly, in a variety of, from a variety of influencers in their own way, the more we will be able to reach very diverse communities and constituencies to show support and model how important our 3 Ws, in fact, are. Thanks, Dr. Tilson.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. Really, really, really appreciate all of that work. And it really is, those 3 Ws, there's great science behind those 3 Ws, really, really good science. So if we can get them really adopted in the majority of our folks, it can make a huge difference. So thank you for all your work on that, because behavior change is hard, you're right. And we're trying to do something, in a month that often takes years. So all hands on deck for that. Great, and thinking all hands on deck, we really have to think about this, addressing this pandemic across multiple sectors. And so our private sectors and our business communities are incredibly important as partners in this. And so I believe we have Secretary Copeland was able to join us from Commerce. Secretary Copeland, I'm not sure if you wanted to offer a couple words in terms of the business community and commerce in this, and then we'll also then move to Gary Salamito from the Chamber of Commerce, thinking through the business part of this. So Secretary Copeland, are you on?
I am. Thank you, Doctor. you know, from where I sit in February, I was looking at 3.5% unemployment, which basically meant I had a workforce shortage. It rapidly went within a couple of months to over 12%. But I will say today that much of it, I should give credit to you and your team and the governor for bringing stability back in how we're approaching COVID. The unemployment rate today in North Carolina is below 8%. While that's not acceptable, that's a remarkable change of people going back to work. We're seeing sectors like the automobile industry is going full steam. I want to remind you, the governor's executive order did not shutter any manufacturing or construction. So those industries remain ready to come back. They were affected by and large by supply chain issues coming from other states. But with all of that said, we have paid out over claims to over 1.2 million claimants in unemployment benefits. But today that number is down on a weekly basis. As last week, a point in time, we paid 440,000 North Carolina workers unemployment benefits, with over $6.6 billion in outlay of money. One of the things that we're very concerned with today, the federal weekly PEUC payments unemployment ends today. That's the $600 a week. That is coming to a screeching halt today. And that, so we're ready for that deluge. Oh, I guess we're probably not ready for it, but that's going to be an impossible thing for us to deal with. Through Workforce Solutions, we are in the process of paying CARES Act funding. The Jobs Retention Grant Program, we're distributing that money. The Rural Division is also distributing over $28 million to help with housing, telehealth, broadband, and other things. But I want to say that we're also, the economy is still moving in a good direction in some sectors. We are $2 billion ahead in inward investment than where we were last year this time at the Department of Commerce. And we just announced the largest economic development project ever, Centene Corporation, with 3,200 jobs. So while it's not all bad, the fundamentals of our economy are functioning. It's tenuous, but with, I think, your fact-based, methodical science approach to how we're dealing with this is helping us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Copeland. Two comments to that. One, right, we all want people to get back to work. We all share in that. And so, again, as much as we can all together work on these preventions, that's going to be the best strategy of getting people back into work. And the other thing that you alluded to is, right, that our critical infrastructure businesses have remained open. So our meat processing, our construction, our manufacturing, they've all remained open. They also are some of our highest risk settings as well. And so really trying to lean into ensuring those prevention strategies in those high risk settings and thinking through all of our partners in those sectors of our economy that we can protect those workers and that we can ensure that those sectors are continuing to move. So that's a big priority because those are our essential infrastructures that we won't shut. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Gary Salamito from the Chamber of Commerce to think through our kind of more private part of our business community and all the ways that we have been partnering and all the ways that we could be partnering more in the future and pulling in the tremendous force and strength of our business community.
Thank you, Dr. Tilson, and thank you, Director Sprayberry, for the work you do every day to help our citizens remain safe and healthy. We very much appreciate it. And a quick shout out, as we do a lot, but can't do enough, to our frontline healthcare workers who are there every day taking care of folks that are exposed to COVID, that have it, and equally importantly, getting treatment to people who haven't had treatment for a while because of the COVID pandemic, that are now coming back into the health system. So we thank them and we appreciate everything that they're doing also. I'll take a couple minutes to talk about what the business community across industry segments has been doing since the beginning, since we started, the pandemic started, and we started talking and working together with you. They've been changing quickly. They've been looking to protect their people and protect their customers from the very beginning, adjusting on a dime to make sure that they're following guidelines, following the DHHS guidelines, CDC guidelines, and keeping their, first of all, their people, their employees safe, and their customers. I'd like to highlight a couple of examples of what's being done, talk a little bit about what we are doing and have done. I'm going to mention some specific company names, but please know that for every company that we mention, there are companies that I don't that are doing exactly the same thing and more with it. So we have large manufacturers, as you all know, like Winston-Salem's-based Hanes brands that are pivoting to PPE for healthcare workers in a global way. And they're here in North Carolina making those changes and pivots. You know, Blue Cross Blue Shield has been waiving copays for testing from the beginning, and our health systems, WakeMed and others, have been expanding telehealth capabilities from the very beginning to help address those needs. Companies like Cook Medical are conducting daily temperature screenings for their employees and every shift, requiring masks inside their facility, have crisis response teams set up with Winston-Salem and their localities, and they have committees that are meeting daily virtually to discuss what's happening. Our food processing facilities and ag companies are using enhanced cleaning processes and following the guidelines that are there. They have social distancing measures on their in their manufacturing facilities, floor markers. They're dividing up workspaces, and face shields are being used. And they have cross-functional task forces within their organization that are daily looking at the information that we get from the state, looking at the information that they have, and making adjustments to keep their employees safe and to keep their products safe. Grocers and retailers like Food Lion across all of our state have installed plexiglass dividers at their registers, customer service and pharmacy counters in every store. They're shipping face shields to all of their stores. The signage is there to encourage shoppers to maintain the 6 feet. In the retail settings, they're using one-way aisles, and there's a dedicated focus on cleaning practices in those areas, and again, using the guidelines that are established for them. And they're changing their shopping hours, and they're adjusting to limit the number of people and to also protect our most vulnerable populations. Companies like Lenovo in the tech sector, Triangle-based employees are working from home. And Lenovo, for example, gave 104,000 N95 masks to local health systems, including Duke, UNC, and WakeMed. And other companies are doing the same. And in our fintechs and finance companies, companies like Pinnacle Financial Partners and their frontline associates that have to be in the office, they're using all and following all of the required guidelines, including using drive-through only in their retail offices, requiring associates to wear face masks when their lobbies have to be open to the public, and they require customers to wear masks too, as a lot of forward-facing places that have to have direct contact with them are. So companies across industry segments are doing everything that they can do and continue to do more as we look to get through this pandemic. On the chamber side of things, representing those companies, there's 3 or 4 things I'd like to mention. We work together with our board on a relaunching North Carolina blueprint. There's a very specific section in there on protecting people with guidelines for employers and individuals that include the CDC guidelines, DHHS guidelines for social distancing and hygiene and PPE, and we push that out regularly. We developed and promoted a coronavirus resources guide that's on our website that we direct people to almost on an hourly basis when people are checking in. It always includes the latest updates from DHHS and the governor. It highlights best practices for safe return, and businesses interested in producing or donating PPE, we're connecting them with, again, working with our health system partners and the North Carolina Healthcare Association. We've developed and promoted a series of prevention webinars, including preparing for a safe return to work, EPA and CDC disinfecting best practices, reopening best practices for business, aligning health policy and business, among others. we work very closely with the Healthcare Association and the Medical Society to promote the 3 Ws. We issued a joint statement and have been pushing out those messages through our social media channels. And we work on a regular basis, and you'll hear from Steve Lawler in a minute, with the North Carolina Healthcare Association and their members to understand where the health systems are and what the data is, and help be a translator back to our non-healthcare companies so that folks in their localities can work together to address the needs of the community, keep people safe, and plan for the future, and plan for when we can safely reopen and get back to what North Carolinians understand as a normal, a little bit more normal way of living their lives. So getting our lives and our livelihoods back on track is a priority for business, and doing it safely is a priority. And thank you for the opportunity today to share a few of the examples of what's going on across North Carolina. And please know that businesses are committed to the safety of their employees and of their customers, and will continue to follow the guidelines as we get through this pandemic. So with that, thank you, Dr. Tilson, for the opportunity to be here today and to provide some remarks.
Great, thank you. Thank you for all that proactive work. I'm going to turn it over to our colleagues from the Raleigh Police Department, actually. So Mr. Ray Ashby and then Deputy Chief Galloway, to think a little bit from our law enforcement end of this, and how we can think through some of our enforcement strategies. So gentlemen, I turn it over to you. All right, unless they are on mute. Okay, well, I will circle back with them and have them join us near the end, if not on the front end. Okay, so we'll hold on that, and I'm going to have the pleasure of having Dr. Roper from the UNC system go next and think through something that's going to be going on in our state in the next couple of weeks as our students come back to college, so how we're really thinking about preparing for that. And I'll also acknowledge that Dr. Roper, this is his last day serving in his role at UNC, and so we are grateful for his leadership. I'm grateful that on the very last day, he's actually been on 2 calls with the department today. So if that's not partnership and commitment, I don't know what is. So Dr. Roper, off to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So Dr. Tilson, thank you for the partnership, and thanks to go to the governor, Secretary Cohen, Director Sprayberry, and everybody else. Walker Wilson in particular has been a real partner for us. The universities and colleges in North Carolina, the community colleges, the publics and the privates, all of us have been working together through a subgroup that Dr. Cohen put together probably 2 months ago, and that group has been meeting at the pace of about every 2 weeks. We had one of those meetings again this morning, and the brief report that I'd give you all is simply that there's a lot of work been done at each of these institutions for detailed contingency planning for what lies ahead for the opening of the fall term. The precise calendar is different for each institution, but some of them are beginning to open this coming week, others later in August, others in September. But it's a big undertaking to try to get ready for what lies ahead. All of this, we're trying carefully to coordinate with the Department of Health and Human Services. Part of what we are doing is asking everybody to have in place formal memoranda of agreement with the local health department in the county that they're in, so that everybody knows ahead of time what to do under whatever circumstances come as far as positive cases or people who are ill and the need to do contact tracing and on and on. The 3 Ws are a major part of the work that's being done on college and university campuses. And in particular, we are trying to build a culture of compliance with those healthy behavioral practices. And at every turn, people ask the question, do you really expect college students to do these things? And we are saying, yes, we do expect university and college students to do these things. And a lot of work being done with student leaders across the state. We know that we will have cases of people who are coronavirus positive, and we'll have some that are ill, and we are at each institution, they are setting aside space in dorms for quarantine and isolation, and again, all the protocols that need to be worked out ahead of time so that this can be managed well. But finally, I'd say a personal debt of gratitude to Governor Cooper, Dr. Cohen, Dr. Tilson, Director Sprayberry, for the very good work that you all have done. I'm proud to be a North Carolinian and to have you all as our state's leaders. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Roper. I got a note that our law enforcement folks have come back on, so I'm going to circle back and have Captain Gunter or Mr. Ashby or Deputy Chief Galloway share some comments about the enforcement end of our prevention activities. So, gentlemen, if anybody is on from the law enforcement, then thank you for circling back.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. This is Captain Gunner with Raleigh PD. Touch on just a moment how we've tried to work with the businesses. Certainly, the main priority we want is to get voluntary compliance out of it. And I can say, with a few exceptions, which we're always going to have, everyone is legitimately appearing to try to do their part. And with the latest restrictions that went in place with the alcohol sales, the city of Raleigh had actually started that a little bit earlier before the state implemented it. So we had about a week or so head start on that. And we've seen incredible compliance from the businesses from this point. On that, we've had officers monitoring that to provide educational cards to people if they were, I heard mentioned earlier that people were not necessarily in compliance, but not deliberately not in compliance. So we worked very hard on the educational side. And we've definitely seen a swing in that direction. And since the latest restrictions, in particular alcohol sales with restaurants, City of Raleigh, a tremendous amount of input on their side and compliance with those restrictions. So we're definitely, just like everybody else, just trying to do our part in a very much larger scheme of the plan, and to ensure that we can help prevent this as well.
Great. Thank you, sir. We know that the enforcement piece is a hard part, and so looking forward to thinking through as we go forward even more creative strategies on the enforcement side. So I am looking at the calendar, and I have not apportioned enough time for everybody, so I am going to apologize because we have 3 more of our task members who I'd asked to say a few moments, a few words, and so I do apologize that I did not time manage this incredibly well. We do want to have Adam Scholler from the Healthcare Facility Association talk a little bit about our nursing home and long-term care work. Janet Clayton, who is the president of our Association of Local Health Directors and the importance of our local health departments, and then Steve Lawler from the Healthcare Association and our healthcare systems and their role in this, and everybody doubling in on prevention. So we have 7 minutes, 3 really, really important sectors. So I'm going to ask those 3 folks to really high level chime in. So, Adam, to you, high level nursing homes and skilled and long-term care facilities.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tilson. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to be here today, and Governor, thanks for your leadership, as well as Secretary Cohen and all the rest in the administration, the General Assembly that worked with us through the past few months. Just to try to condense it down with the time remaining, just a few quick highlights. The one point I think I would stress at this time, an area where we continue to need improvement, is the prolonged delay in getting test results. That remains the single most serious challenge facing nursing homes right now. If we are unable to get test results back quickly, they're currently taking somewhere between 4 and 7 days, or even more in some cases. We simply cannot stop the spread of this virus in our facilities. Dr. Tilson, you noted earlier, this is not a North Carolina problem. I hear this same challenge from my colleagues across the country, but it is a very real problem, and it's one we must continue to keep front of mind. Just a few other quick notes on prevention activities. I think we and our members across the state have worked collaboratively with the governor's administration, DHHS, General Assembly over the past few months, and have implemented a number of things, and continue to evolve as the knowledge base on this virus and disease have continued to evolve. And I think we saw a real turning point at the end of April when we were, given enough kind of virus incubation time to see the effects of the universal masking and other screening recommendations that were promulgated after it was known just how widespread the asymptomatic positive carrier is, and just how contagious this virus is. And so as we moved into May with additional PPE supports from North Carolina Emergency Management, as well as a partnership with DHHS and the Medicaid program, with dedicated financial resources and consultation with the statewide program for infection control and epidemiology at UNC, we continued to see improvement as resources to fight this virus were made available. And also, we saw throughout this time, not only additional resources, but accountability with DHHS inspecting every skilled nursing facility in the state, focused on infection control compliance, and overwhelmingly skilled nursing facilities are doing everything they can, and the vast majority of these facilities had no infection control issues whatsoever. And now, just again jumping ahead, most recently on Tuesday, with the outbreak list that the department publishes twice a week, there were 155 skilled nursing facilities with 2 or more cases of COVID connected to them. But of those, 63 had either 0 or 1 resident COVID positive, and another 53 of those had between 2 and 20 residents positive, indicating that the facility had successfully contained the spread to a single hall or unit or wing. And just to be clear, outbreaks with more cases have resulted when the facility has done everything right. The day-to-day work in a nursing home is a lot of very personal hands-on care. And as we see more community spread, more of our residents and staff are exposed in the community. And so if you have asymptomatic positive staff or residents on more than one hall, certainly cases could grow. But North Carolina, compared to our southeastern neighbors, skilled nursing facilities have largely held the new case curve flat, while some of our southeastern neighbors, they've seen new case trends go up along with community trends, where here, while we've seen community case growth, the new nursing home case growth has stayed largely flat. So I mentioned testing on the turnaround times at the outset. 2 other areas where additional infection control measures, over the longer term, can't stress one, the need for the additional infection control resources that have been provided to continue to be provided, as well as, we were working on something else with the North Carolina Medicaid program to help foster the creation of more private rooms in nursing homes, not only for this pandemic, but as we plan for the future. I think that really could make a difference. So just to wrap up, we're making positive strides as PPE supplies have increased. We've learned more about this virus and more resources have been provided. Infection control measures have improved and our infection rates have slowed. And we compare favorably to our other southeastern states. But we continue to face many challenges. Some are immediate, like the need for faster turnaround times and testing, and others are more long-term with the financial and staffing challenges that we faced, and the fact that we're going to be in this for the long term. So a very condensed version, but But Dr. Tilson, thanks for the opportunity to be here and report.
Thank you. Thank you. And I really apologize now. We have a minute and two really key stakeholders, and I feel bad that this is not a lack of value. So I'm going to say 30 seconds. Steve, I know this is going to kill you to try to do something in 30 seconds, and Janet, maybe you, but kind of 30 seconds. And I apologize. Next time we will make sure that you are closer up on the agenda. So Janet, go. Major prevention, public health.
Well, in local public health, we are continuing to use our communication efforts across various partners, of course, implementing and using the 3 W's in those campaigns. We're trying to expand our partner groups as we incorporate these messages, various things from infographics to pre-printed hand sanitizers. But prevention is the key, and that is one of the 3-pronged missions in public health, and we look forward to continuing to work with the state and our business partners on this across the state.
Awesome. You win the award for conciseness. So everybody partner with your local health departments. Prevention is core business. They are an incredible resource. All right, Steve, 30, can you do it in 30 seconds?
No problem. So we're busy. We continue to be positioned well to care for patients that are both COVID and non-COVID patients. In the space of public messaging, I'll remind this group that it was the Chamber, the Medical Society, and the Hospital Association that came out first in regards to mask covering. We've continued to invest dollars and resources in communicating with different venues, from highway billboards to paid advertising, social media, flyers in hospitals and physicians' offices throughout the state, continuing to work with traditional and non-traditional partners to address and fix issues. We're working to fill the gap that have been created early on due to lack of testing availability, as well as public health resource constraints. And then finally, we're preparing for a tropical weather season, so we're brushing off our playbook, understanding it has to be modified, but we're going to be there to take care of everyone.
Awesome. You guys win the awards. Good job. Great. Well, thank you all so much. I think this all incredible work you all have been doing is really a testimony to the partnerships. We have to do this together. So I appreciate that all very much. I think from the front end, again, thinking again on that prevention, that messaging, that education, that there are guidelines, making sure you know them, making sure that you are following them, making sure you are enforcing them, and making sure that we're facilitating people to react on that. If we do that all together and reinforce that all together, we truly have the power to shift the shape of the pandemic in this state, which then, of course, allows us then to continue to open up our economy and make sure that our kids can learn and that our people can get back together, which is all of the goals. So I thank you so much for your ongoing partnership and then your hour and 2 minutes this afternoon. I will stop talking. I'm not sure if Governor Cooper or Secretary Cohen or Director Sprayberry or Director Hooks want to do any last-minute closing.
You did a great job, Dr. Tilson. This is Mandy Cohen. Thanks for your leadership, and thanks to everyone.